The CDC may be changing their guidance on COVID isolation, while states such as California and Oregon have already implemented new guidelines in a similar way to how flu and RSV are handled. The CDC is considering dropping the need to isolate for 5 days for those Americans who don't have a fever or any lingering symptoms. With most Americans having developed a level of immunity to the virus, health officials are pushing for a more practical approach to deal with the virus. Let's talk more about the state of the pandemic with Lorraine Ash. Lorraine is the owner of Lorraine Ash Literary Enterprises and editor of the book Corona City: Voices from the Epicenter. Lorraine, thanks very much for joining us. Let's just talk about this anniversary coming, here upon us now, and what made you want to do this project?
Well, I realized, Sean, that I was living in the middle of a historic event. I was living in the middle of the first epicenter of COVID-19 in the United States. And I wanted to chronicle it. I have a journalism background. I now work in books, but I wanted to chronicle what was happening around me. So we had a grassroots history of the pandemic that wasn't politicized or sanitized, but it was grassroots, how it was for people.
Yeah, Lorraine, I remember going out early on in March 4 years ago, and hitting the highway and driving to West Virginia and to Kentucky, states nearby, because obviously flying was out of the question, and people here were worried about my safety, so we were trying to do it in a very limited fashion. And driving in the streets there, you see, just completely empty, and you could do whatever you want driving down the interstate because there was nobody near you. So walk us through some of the most compelling stories that you really encountered.
Well, one was COVID-19 broke my heart. It's written by Jen Singer from Red Bank, New Jersey, who was a vibrant, athletic 53-year-old when she got COVID in February 2020. And she had a previous bout with cancer, which had weakened, damaged her heart. When she got COVID, it went to the weakness. So she wound up with a third-degree blockage and heart failure, and now she's living with that long COVID today, and she knows that she will for the rest of her life. In fact, she even writes in the piece, I hope to make it to Medicare. Yeah. It's a very affecting piece. There was another by Laura Carrier, who was working as a nurse in New York City at the time and got the virus.
Right.
And then we had this experience as a patient and almost died. At one point in March 29th, she was the only person in the ICU who didn't die, the only one who had refused to be intubated. So many stories.
And I think it's important for you to remind people about this, because it's so easy to just put it out of our minds and say, well, look where we are now. But it's important to remember. I mean, I, for one, never thought I would live through a pandemic.
Right. Same here. That was a big surprise for all of us. So, whole new reality.
Well, let's talk more about the genesis for what really made you want to dig into this and where things are now. What did we learn? Do you think things are better? Are they worse? We still have so many people pushing back on the vaccines.
I am discovering that pushback as I do interviews basically all over the world here. And it's amazing, having lived through what we lived through back in early 2020, death, morgues in the street. You talk about landscapes, literally morgues on the streets of New York City, vacant beaches at the Jersey Shore, downtowns that were just shuttered. It was apocalyptic. It was surreal.
Yeah.
And yet we still have today 22% of people over 18 have gotten the latest booster. It's a small figure. Most of those are people over 65. But you would think that's not so long ago, 2020, that more people would be getting those boosters.
It's just this whole concept in the U.S., out of sight, out of mind. Well, where are we now? Do you think that we're back to normal? Is this the new normal?
I don't think we're normal. I mean, because we have so many, maybe because we were cooped up there for a couple of winters. We have RSV here, we have COVID, we have 7 kinds of flu. It just seems that, are you okay and are you infectious, is just the way it is now. I mean, my mother lives in an assisted living facility here in North Jersey. And should we go? Do you have the sniffles? Are we masking? Are we not masking? It's still very much with us here in this area.
Indeed. Lorraine, I can't thank you enough for your time, and good luck with the success of the book, Corona City Voices from the Epicenter. Thank you again.
Thank you.